Greetings, everyone. Greetings in people in the room. Greetings to those who come to us virtually. My name is Andy Spilioe. I'm your OCLC Library Services Consultant. Sorry, I thought he was talking to me. I'm your OCLC Library Services Consultant. I'm based out of the Montreal area. Today, we'd like to present OCLC's vision of the future of resource sharing in Canada. And this vision is about building on the decades of experience and innovation for the future of libraries and their communities. Anywhere. Oh, great. If you permit, I'd like to get you acquainted with the current OCLC Canadian resource sharing landscape. And I'd like to direct you to a very important milestone, which was in 2018 with the launching of Voila, which is the Library and Archives Canada's National Union Catalog. Why that is important is because it provided access to Canadian library collections through the Voila interface. But perhaps more importantly, it offered this inclusivity by supporting small libraries with funding so that they could join the Canadian ILL network on Voila. So these were the libraries that would not normally be able to afford or have the budget for ILL. So this was a particularly nice initiative, and it expanded the reach of ILL in Canada. Oh, I went going in the wrong direction. My apologies. And I'm proud to say that today we have 400 Canadian libraries on the OCLC network. I'd like to reference a few success stories. And we have the 18 academic libraries in PBUQ, which is the Partenariat des Bibliothèques Universitaires du Québec. And by the way, Katie, you were trying to pronounce CREPUC. And through the use of TEPASA, we have seen 52% lending increase and a 31% borrowing increase. And I just want to reference that this is outside of their shared platform. So this is not even counting the traffic in their shared platform using WMS. We also have Université de Moncton, which is a CAAL library that transitioned to TEPASA several years ago. And we also are seeing an uptake in adoption of ILL services by public libraries in Alberta. And then I went too far. And this figure of 400 is set to be exceeded. We're on track to have 500 Canadian libraries on the OCLC network. And this is due in large part to the adoption of resource sharing for groups, the Ontario Library Service, the OLS, which serves 234 public libraries in the province of Ontario. And I think I can count about 7 to 8 different ILSs. We also have the Bibliothèque et Archives Nationales du Québec, which is actively implementing OCLC's resource sharing for groups across 120 plus public libraries in Quebec. They are, as we speak, implementing. You're going to have the same problem as me. My apologies for the back and forth. And the numbers paint a compelling picture. We can see the increased ILL traffic from 2022 to 2025, and it represents WorldShare ILL TEPASA filled requests in Canada through the Voila interface. And this doesn't paint a complete picture because, like I said, this is all the requests that were filled in Canada. Now we have a more complete picture for ILL requests from Canadian libraries in 2025, 30.8% were fulfilled outside of Canada. The solutions that OCLC brings to the table to promote this success are these cloud-based resource sharing solutions, which is WorldShare Interlibrary Loan, which is an ILL network providing advanced ILL for hundreds of Canadian libraries, thousands of libraries worldwide. And just if you can permit, just a spillover from the previous conversation, we were talking about the lack of time to go from relay to another one. This takes 1 week. And when we include the training, it's probably a solid 2 weeks to do. So this one requires no real implementation. Now, as we scroll down, we're looking at additions that do require implementation. For those with WorldShare ILL wishing for an ILL management system for managing users and fulfillment channels, you have the optional choice of adding Tipasa to your WorldShare ILL subscription. And for those tight-knit library consortiums, we have OCLC's Resource Sharing for Groups, which is a modern consortial borrowing solution. I'd like to highlight some of the key aspects of OCLC's ILL services. And the first one should not be a surprise. Libraries should be able to look closer to their collections, look to their partners, their neighbors, their region, and then escalate from there to what's available in Canada. And as a last resort, if needed, you have the power of the global network. The regional groups, libraries can create these regional groupings in WorldShare ILL and use discovery search to be able to see the distances from one institution to another. And if we're going to have a Canadian solution, it has to absolutely be bilingual. So it should support French and English-speaking library users. Last, but certainly not least, we have advanced interoperability to consider. ISO request transfer, INSIP, circulation integration for systems such as CERSI, and Tipasa's fulfillment integration with ALMA. I'm afraid I'm going to go too far. Well, that's your problem now. The next step is interoperability. And with that, I'd like to pass it on to Peter, who he's going to give us a deeper dive into the whole technical aspects of interoperability. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy. Yeah, as he said, I'll probably have the same issues. But yeah, so the focus is really about interoperability, and I appreciate Andy talking about the history of OCLC in Canada, because that's incredibly important, and how the use of the WorldShare network has been growing and providing more content for libraries. But as we think about interoperability, as I was thinking about it, I came to OCLC just over 5 years ago. I was working at the University of Pennsylvania for quite a while, doing resource sharing, public services, and I came with this real motivation. Imagine if you show up at OCLC and they give you the keys to the resource sharing kingdom, if you will, and I thought about all the things I wanted to integrate. But then when I got to OCLC, it was an experience of there's a lot more. Can we get the next slide, please? When we at OCLC, I think I'm going to just go to say next. At OCLC, we're looking at a global integration perspective. It's integration at scale. So the things that I was thinking about at my library, I want this specific system to talk to this other specific system. That's important. But now I'm trying to think about it on a global scale to understand how can we make all the systems talk so that it supports your library. Next slide, please. And the philosophy, our core behind that is really to center your library, you and your work, and then to think about resource sharing as it expands out from there. So I need the systems in my local university environment to integrate, and then I need to be able to scale out to get the resources that I need, whether that's my close partners, whether it's across the country or whether it's on an international scale. Next slide, please. So how do we do that? Well, there's the panoply of standards that you all know and love, and we use these heavily. These are incredibly important, and standards are standards, but they always are unique, as we heard a lot about in the first presentation this morning, that it isn't just plug and play. It takes work for each system that we integrate with standards. And we have tens, if not hundreds of systems integrated into OCLC products using these exact standards. Next slide, please. There's also a great need for API integrations. There are very specific things we want to do to provide the level of service that your libraries and your users require. And sometimes those need to be integrated based on APIs. And we have done this successfully, particularly if we think about Tapasa as an ILL management system. Libraries that subscribe to Rapid ILL, they never even have to go into Rapid ILL. They manage that similar to how we saw in Australia. It's the same thing. It's integrated into your local experience, the system you're using. Rapid ILL, fully integrated. Document suppliers, fully integrated into Tapasa. We just this year integrated the inventory management system, Kayasoft, for libraries so that they could have access to their storage facility. We're looking at how to integrate, but we're doing it based on what's fit for purpose. Next slide, please. And this is, I feel like we've struggled to find a good illustration of this, but we also worked closely with Ex Libris and with the University of California system over the last year and a half to create what we're calling, just because we need to name things so we can easily talk about them, fulfillment integration. And what this does is integrate both Tapasa and Alma. And I think if we go to the next slide, it's actually easier to think about it related to the value that it provides. So a user starts in Primo, they place a request, it goes into Alma. The University of California system has a group circulation environment. They exhaust that network, and then the request goes into Tapasa, and they have access to all the fulfillment streams available from WorldShare to all the other integrations within Tapasa. So the staff are managing the request within a powerful request engine that is Tapasa. But from the user's perspective, it's just gone into their library account and they're seeing it track in their library account. And then when the item arrives, we use NSIP to reactivate that request or activate that request in Alma so that the item circulates. From the user perspective, it's a great user experience because they're not having to use an ILL manager over here and I've got to log in and track those separate because they're not local items. From an IT perspective, you don't have to do patron loads, which is also a security enhancement because you're not duplicating patron data across systems. We let the ILS be the system of record for the user and Tapasa to be the request engine that goes out on the network. Next slide, please. And actually, let's go one more because I sort of covered that. And I'm going to talk about our vision and strategy. Sorry, I thought I could hand off to Abhijeet early. So next slide, please. So our vision is really driven on library on demand. So we've sort of heard this in the last presentation. It's just a fact that there's high expectations for what our computer systems, our automated request services, how people engage with the library online. Next slide, please. So these user expectations, and when we're saying users, just like the last presentation, it's you all as you use our platforms and it's the library users. Expectations of how simply and easily our systems should work are driven by all the things you do out in the world, all the systems that you interact with on a day-to-day basis, a lot of them right here on your phone. Next slide, please. So maybe you could just do, yeah, thank you. So the Library on Demand, I started in the beginning of 2020, a very auspicious time to start in this job. We rewrote the automation platform for WorldShare ILL to PASA for our resource sharing system. We completely rewrote automation because we knew that we needed a modern automation platform to do the cool things that we were going to be able to do. And that's when we started launching features like smart lender strings. We started doing load leveling, which across the global network is a little different than when we do it on a consortia level, because consortia, you're sort of balancing between libraries. We actually implemented what we call queue depth, where we know roughly how many requests you get on a regular basis, and we prioritize you or deprioritize you so that you don't get overwhelmed. So as we're looking at the network, we prioritize fast suppliers. But if we just did that, the fast suppliers would get all the requests. So we also manage the distribution across those fast suppliers. The automation is really working on a whole host of metrics at the same time as it distributes requests across the network. We launched the Express program, which is incredibly important because when I arrived at OCLC, we were looking at data to understand the system, and we could see that some requests were getting filled like boom, and other requests were taking a lot longer. And there was that lack of knowing when you placed a request how quickly it was going to get filled. And that's where we were able to bring together libraries that were committed to fast delivery and create the Express program, where we have over 1,000 libraries participating. And I think over 600 of them supply to each other for free. So those libraries are ensuring that there's fast digital delivery across the system. And then now we've started applying AI and machine learning to this intelligence that distributes requests, and we'll look at some examples of that. Next slide, please. And here I get to hand off to Abhijeet to talk in a little more technical detail.
So these 6 smart fulfillment features automate requests, saving time and delivering items to users more quickly. The automated request manager supports various automation steps throughout the borrowing and lending workflows. It is based on the match criteria defined by a library, along with the action that the system is programmed to perform. This includes bibliographic matching. We heard a little bit in the morning about how we are enhancing that to better match French and English title for the same item. Applying constant data on request forms, local availability checks, automatically generating lender strings, and much more. A real-time availability check using Z39.50 prevents requests to lending libraries for items that are unavailable, so that we can move on to the next lender much more faster. We are creating smart lender strings using advanced algorithms to optimize routing lists by utilizing turnaround time data, deflections, licenses, and holdings information. The Express program, as Peter just mentioned, connects fast suppliers for quicker fulfillment of copy requests. And I just got the number from Jenny. As of this morning, we have 1,157 libraries participating in this program. And this is in the last 2 years or so. So we are incredibly proud of this program. And the average turnaround time for this is 9.67 hours. Knowledge-based checks enable the system to automatically decline requests that fall outside a lender's coverage or licensing terms, preventing unfillable requests from accumulating. Intelligent timing is one of our newest smart fulfillment features, which we will elaborate on shortly. Now, the primary benefit of all these features is to save start time, support unmediated workflows, and enable rapid fulfillment of requests. Many of these features, of course, rely on interoperability. based on established standards. I will now hand it over to Peter, who will discuss some tangible results of smart fulfillment.
Next slide, please. So, so we talking about the automation. Talking about the automation, it just greatly speeds up the delivery of items, as we can see here. Next slide, please. We will go through these pretty quick anyway, because the Express program we've already talked about, 1,000+ libraries. So if you can keep moving forward, please. We just have a few more slides on the future. So I'm going to hand back to Abhijeet.
Intelligent timing is one of the latest features in smart fulfillment. This feature showcases the power of data and focused use of AI. The system not only identifies available locations to fulfill a copy request, but it also prioritizes those locations that are currently open and operating. Instead of solely relying on the operating hours listed in institution's profile, the system can recognize actual time periods when library staff are processing requests. This approach enables very fast fulfillment of copy requests for the end user, all on a global scale. Peter, you have an example of this?
Yes, this slide is an example of an item that was supplied in 38 minutes overnight while no staff were in the library needing to process the request, because the system, it isn't just looking at open hours at libraries on a policies directory kind of level. It's actually looking at who's in the system and working on requests. So it's incredibly powerful. Next slide. Or did I send it back?
That's good. Yeah. Many of you are already familiar with custom holdings groups, which are a list of preferred lenders that you can configure for the system to use when fulfilling requests. Now, imagine if the system could create these custom holdings groups dynamically for each request based on a set of criteria that are important to you. You would be able to prioritize factors such as region, loan period, turnaround time, price, and more. Our AI-enabled algorithm would then generate the lender string according to your prioritized criteria for each request. When we bring this vision to life, libraries will benefit from an optimized lender selection process, resulting in an even faster delivery and higher fulfillment rates. Now, I manage the development team at OCLC, and honestly, I can't wait to work on this feature early next year. Next slide, please. We are currently engaged in a significant project to modernize all our user interfaces. You may have already noticed that updated article exchange that we released in July. In November, we will also be launching the modernized borrowing and lending queues. Our goal is to complete the transition to modern UI for all pages by next summer. This project provides major benefits, including improved accessibility, enhanced responsiveness, intuitive components, and an overall better user experience. We are not only adopting a new design language, but also updating the underlying technology stack to enhance security and code maintainability. This will allow us to deliver future enhancements more quickly. We are all very excited to share the modern UI with you in the next year. In the same theme of accessibility, now I will pass it to Peter to discuss accessible documents.
And this is the last slide, please. So we're implementing optical character recognition in article exchange so that every article that's delivered across the network will be OCR'd in the process of delivery. We're using a platform that supports 120 something languages, 120 languages. And we see this as incredibly important service for your library users to have accessible and OCR documents. And just pausing about some of the stuff we've been talking about today, one of the things, the values of a network is things like speed, things like intelligence that's built into the platform, but it's also this level of service that OCLC is able to apply to the network. This isn't something we make you pay for or comes across as it's part of our platform. The Express system is part of our platform for libraries that prioritize speed. And that's the value that we're bringing to libraries through the network. Thank you.